Hi, Mom.
Here we are again. Yay.
I'm Megan, and this is my mom, Marcia. And
Yes,
this
Marcia
is
and Megan.
yeah, this is Sacred Soul Mornings. This is a YouTube podcast where we talk about spiritual stuff, and we are on one of our favorite wisdom type books, the Tao Te Ching, and we're in chapter 12. Yeah, which is the belly, not eyes. And we are going through every chapter to try to figure out how we can apply this to our lives. And it is
Mhm.
a commitment.
Mhm. Sometimes I think that what I was thinking this morning. I thought, okay, so we started doing these podcasts. We talked about these kind of things anyway before, but decided just to make podcast and share with anybody that might want to listen to it. But anyway, and I was thinking this morning, okay, are we being asked to walk the walk?
Oh, man.
Or walk the talk. Is that what it is?
I don't know, but we prayed too much.
I just have to wonder about just a little bit.
Lord, give me
Okay,
faith.
then.
Give me faith is the scariest prayer to ever pray.
And so,
Here we
yeah,
are.
we do get to try to apply what we are talking about and studying and trying to learn from uh, the wisdom of the ages.
The wisdom of ages. And let me tell you what, yeah, these are our natural phone calls. And so, this just turned into our natural phone calls over like a decade of doing this,
Mhm.
probably. And we read books and we talk about them and try to apply. And so now we're really committing to once a week going through this and applying
Mhm.
these chapters. And it has been transformative.
And I'm loving it. And as a mom, I'm loving it because we don't Zoom or we don't do FaceTime very often. And so this is kind of a pleasure anyway, since we live far apart. But anyway,
So
oh, shall we begin?
let's begin. Can I read it in mine?
Yes.
Okay. And I was so excited about this one. It's called The Belly, Not the Eyes. So, that made sense to me. It just clicked. The five colors blind the eyes, the five sounds deafen the ears, the five tastes deaden the palate. The hunt for game, the heat of the chase cause heart and mind to run riot. Goods that are hard to come by become an impediment. The Taoist lives through inner nourishment of the belly. I have felt this week so much. Yeah.
And so the belly, when you were, I had read, and to not clarify, but one person wrote that the belly is the vital breath. Like we think of, and I think you mentioned the word intuition, our intuition that comes from God, comes from source. If we listen to it, the vital breath, the life force, the chi. Um, so paying attention to the belly. And I know one of the praise of moderation, and we have certainly heard that in our way that we religiously were brought up and from the Bible.
The
And,
word
and
glut.
we'll avoid gluttony of any kind. And we have to laugh about that because we really like to eat.
Yeah, I bet most people culturally avoid gluttony of every kind except food.
Eating, and we do like to eat. But anyway, one thing I wanted to bring out that I read from commentary, and it was talking about um, this chapter and talking about the Chinese influence. But anyway, five colors in Chinese tradition are green, red, yellow, white, and black. And I'll explain why I'm saying all these things in just a minute. But anyway, five tones in the Chinese musical scale are C, D, E, G, and A. And I'm going to play with that on this little xylophone later.
Like right now, I would like to.
Okay. And then five flavors are sweet, bitter, salty, sour, and pungent. Five is probably connected with Chinese five elements of water, fire, wood, metal, and earth. And now I'm thinking of their spice mixture blend. Is it
I'm
five?
sure I have no idea, but I'm sure they're regimented over thousands of years. Be balanced.
And,
There's something to this.
and
Yeah.
so Lao warns against, in this chapter, against excess. Excess warns against that. Multitude of colors out on whatever it is can be chaotic for the eyes to take in.
Mm.
Um, all musical instruments playing at their own tempos and everything is can only be listened to for a short while. Chefs limit their flavors to just a few.
Yeah.
So disciplined moderation is key to the great art of whatever genre. Less is more. And I know one of the things when you just read a minute ago about the hunter and being quick in the race or the pace or whatever, trying to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
find that again and read that little.
Yeah. Well, okay. The five tastes dead in the palate. And then it says the hunt for the game, the heat of the chase, cause heart and mind to run riot.
And so one of the things that that was mentioned too in this commentary that connects with that, sometimes intensity is unavoidable and perhaps even enjoyed. I guess like a hunter that enjoys going hunting, that adrenaline rush or whatever. However, and so the advice is, okay, go ahead and do that, whatever. I'm thinking of roller coasters that I don't like to do. But anyway, but a lot of people do. That intensity of the moment. But in between, there should be rest,
Yes.
bit
Yeah.
of rest in between. One reason is adventures lose their thrill when they become routine. You just don't enjoy it as much anymore.
Well, right there
You
when it says the flavors deaden the palate. I mean, it deadens the palate of life. Yeah, that personality, it's a very typical personality. Craving for most people is to continuously want that really exciting adrenaline experience. I think that unless you learn how to feel comfortable in peace, you want that. You know,
know?
you want, let's go on vacation. Let's go on vacation. Let's go on vacation again. Let's go out to eat. Let's go to the movies. Let's also go buy this stuff. I mean, it is a hamster wheel of
Mm-hmm.
probably dopamine, adrenaline fueled stuff, or especially with technology. It's scroll, 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 video game, scroll, video game, video game. And I have children and they are
Mm-hmm.
growing up in this technology world, which is scary. I had it a little bit, but not like this. And it is continuous dopamine hits on them about these little games on Roblox or Minecraft or whatever. And it's for real. But I
Yeah.
also make them be bored on
Yeah.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Done it since they were born.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and that sound, but no, but it was a conscious decision that sometimes you didn't schedule out something to do for every hour of every day, that like in the summertime or whatever,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they could have some still times, they could have some quiet times to contemplate on
anything.
anything.
And just to feel that feeling and to be calm. And that was a legitimate choice. And I kind of forgot, but it
Mhm.
is. I mean, sometimes life just makes it where I don't have a choice because, sports and band and stuff are busy. So then by the time we get to the weekend, I don't want to do anything else either because I'm tired.
Yeah,
There has always been a choice to not continuously schedule on purpose to cultivate that quality. So I bet this is what Lao Tzu was also talking about.
that's so. I bet so too. Um, So then to guard, and on that same thread of thought that you were talking about, another person that I read their commentary said, we are being overstimulated, all of us with technology. There's the good parts, and then there's that overstimulation constantly, colors and sounds, and that brain chemistry is changing and becoming kind of numb to
Yeah.
new content. Of course, this is a person's opinion, but and disconnected to the world. That's the point, becoming disconnected to the world around us. And that's the whole point. So pull them back. And I will tell one quick little story when you mentioned about games and Roblox and whatever. Those games, I've never played games on my phone until I went up there to visit Megan when I was up there. And here, Megan would be busy doing whatever. And then the other people in the house would have all their little
Device.
news out. That's what her little girl.
We call them doo-doos. Do you we mean these are called doo-doos because my toddler used to say baby shark doo-doo doo 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 or whatever. Now they're all doo-doos. Probably aptly named. Get
It could
your
be.
doo-doo out.
Oh, I got my doo-doo out too. And there was a little thing free or called Crazy Games, and it was free games on there. So I found this little word search, and it was, even though I didn't really get any rewards from it, but it just kept going. Like one little game would end, and then the next game would come up, and the only reward would be level one. level two, level three. Those were the only rewards. And then it would go back to level one, level two. And I still would want to sit there and do that, you know. And I justified it in my mind. I'm trying to keep my brain, lively and working. But it did anyway. I'm just saying, I understand how people can become so easily distracted from everything else around them when they are connected to technology so much.
Let me share something I just realized too. I mean, yes, the video game thing is for real, and we have different levels of gamers in this house. So we're talking about little Roblox stuff, but we're also talking all the way to Pokemon, and boy, that was a journey. All the Pokemon online is really addictive, and then other games too. But anyway, I realized the other day, just outright, that we're dulling our senses as humanity to emotions. Specifically because
Mhm.
I got rid of Reddit, but I was on Reddit pretty actively, and I think I'm not going to be anymore, but that's a different story. And I scrolled across a little video that popped up on my Reddit account, which Reddit's not a video platform, but sometimes there are. And it was a wife who caught her husband and mistress eating dinner. They were eating dinner, okay? And this moment was captured on the phone. And then she posted it online, probably to shame everyone, okay? Which I totally get it. That would be a very difficult situation. And to whatever, she put it online, it went viral, and somehow it made it from TikTok to Instagram all the way down to Reddit. And here I am watching it. And I'm thinking, why am I watching this?
Mhm.
It's not my life. Why
Mhm.
do I want to have that? Why do I even have interest in this, first of all?
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
because we are such mimickers. Our little mirror neurons fire just the same whether we're watching someone else's pain or our own. That's why sports are so powerful. That's why everybody gets crazy about the Packers because it's the same. When a monkey, they did a study with monkeys. That's why I said monkey. When a monkey eats a banana and when a monkey imagines eating the banana because they just watch someone else eating it, it's the same area of the brain that lights up.
Mhm.
We are invested in these emotional hooks on television and social media. And I know we know that, but it's dulling us so much to where we are able to withstand all kinds of atrocities happening around us.
Maybe so.
And where
Maybe.
I have to, I can watch like this family be broken up
Mhm.
and feel kind of neutrality about it. And I watch it for entertainment. And it's not funny.
Yeah.
That video, that intimate moment of that family. Or other stuff too, even when we watch the Ring camera reels that are so funny that people fall on their porch and they laugh. We used to watch America's Funniest Home Videos. And people
Mhm.
fall down and we all laugh. But at the same time, when did it start being like where it didn't hurt anymore, you
Yeah.
know?
Because I think about, and you're right. I
It
think
used
about.
to hurt. When I was little and watched that show, I get that feeling in my belly when I'd
Mhm.
watch people fall off their porches. And then as I've gotten older, that feeling in my gut has disappeared almost, where I can watch people fall off cliffs and almost not get it.
Mhm. And I think that with you saying this, like the news, and I don't have news on my television. I don't see those video reels or whatever like
Hmm.
that. But I do read articles on my Yahoo News. That's what it is is my what I look at. So that's my confession. But anyway, and it's like you don't feel
The same anymore.
like I click on people's stories sometimes and I might have some empathy, and I do, but I don't have that feeling that I might would have had 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
I
so
think it's
we're
something
doing
to notice.
this because we're trying to be more real in the world and trying to get back to the vital breath to the belly and
Yes. And
and to
the belly is also the second brain. The second brain is in your belly. So it's deeper than just a feeling. It's also um, got a gut brain connection there. That's the word belly is your your gut, your intuitive
yeah,
gut.
yeah, intuitive, not just about I know that we there was a show that we watched, I think it was last year, about the importance of the gut biome and the brain and the body and health and all that kind of stuff. But not we're not talking about just physical.
No.
We're talking about there is, and I know that I do yoga. I have gone to a couple of classes where we talked about the chakras a little bit. I'm not, it makes me a little nervous to even mention that because I don't want people to judge or whatever. But those chakras are, and I don't know which one's connected to that part of the body, but there is, and trying to get breath in and breath out into awaken that chakra for good health or whatever. And I'm sure it is just about that vital breath, about our life force, about our chi, about our intuition from God. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, I do know that one of the things that trying to find, not trying, but want trust in the way of Jesus that is stronger than our own perspective or our own perceiving the world around us. Trusting in the way of Jesus is stronger than our own perspective. And that's another person's saying of that same thing, trusting in that life force.
And so you're saying in the way of Jesus as a follower of a mystic tradition, that type of Jesus example. Yeah. Which is the same as Lao Tzu.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so the very end of this is the key to how do we not dull these senses, right? How do we not get oversaturated? By inner nourishment of the belly.
Mhm. And
Mhm.
so then how do we go about that?
We go about that. Well, I found some really interesting parallels in the Bible, in those wisdom books, because there's little breadcrumbs of manna, is my new thing I've been saying lately, in all kinds of different traditions. And yeah, we could probably find some guidance in that. This
Yes.
is interesting. And I've literally probably never read this and contemplated this before in this way. But in Ecclesiastes, it says in Ecclesiastes 2:10 and 11, it says, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. And let me tell you, that is what I was talking about to you on the phone this morning. That's like what we are living here in this country
Being on that hamster wheel.
on the hamster wheel. And I am trying to get off the hamster wheel in some ways because I like left my full-time job and now I'm an entrepreneur of doing my own thing. But that is also something that makes you just continuously climb for the next thing. Like how many clients? How
Right.
much money per client? Should I
Mhm.
sell a book? Should I
Mhm.
do this? It just doesn't ever stop. And it's exciting. But then do I want to come to the end and go, that was just another form of hamster wheel?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's got to be balance.
There has to be balance, and that's what this whole book so far is talking about is balance. I know I was reading this morning in just a little connection to what you just said, but I was reading about the Adlerian psychology, The Courage to Be Disliked, this book.
Yeah,
And
man,
so,
we are like in love with this book.
so I was reading, the philosopher was talking with the youth throughout the book when the Socratic method, there is this discourse. But anyway, and so then the philosopher had asked the youth to think about freedom and what does freedom mean to you. And so
Mm.
he sent him off, and the youth was gone on his own for 2 weeks or something like that, and then came back to the philosopher, and he goes, have you figured it out? And he goes, no, not really. um, and somehow they got to the topic of working hard and being on kind of on that hamster wheel. They didn't say that, trying to find success, that if you earn enough money, then you can find freedom. And we kind of have that thought in our mind, then there would be ease. And so then the philosopher also talks has talked about, okay, but how do you what is it that you have to, as far as your relationships, when you are on that hamster wheel trying to become more successful so that you can have more freedoms, what What does that have to do with the relationships? Has everything to do with relationships, like your relationship with your boss. How many hoops do you need to jump through to make sure that you're pleasing that boss so that you can get raises or you can keep your income or whatever it is? Or anyway, so that was just, one example. And so then they, boiled it down to that it's more about relationships outside of trying to earn
Uh-huh.
enough money to be so-called free because, well, even one question that was posed is, okay, suppose you did become independently wealthy. That word independently, they didn't say that either. But anyway, what if you did become wealthy? Then do you think you would feel that freedom? Do you feel like all your relationships would be fine? And so that's a big question. It's a big question of our day and time.
It's a worthy question to ask. And I often have to do that in my head all the time because I am in charge of this business and what I do. I go through this all the time about the balance. What was my purpose in doing this? It was so I had time for my relationships with my children while they're still here, with my husband, with myself,
Mhm.
and with life because years pass and I wanted time with life.
That's a
And
big.
I know it's a choice every day, which way do I go? Do I go ahead and pay for Google Ads and go ahead and start clinics? Do I do that? Can I bring in more money? But then will I see my children?
Mhm. Yeah, that is.
Uh-huh. I know. It is a big question. I think about it every single day. Do I go walk around the sidewalk, right now, or do I go ahead and push through another blog post? Um, I don't think hustle is the answer with this type of guidance and with being
Mhm.
a source. Hustling is the opposite because then you don't have the peace to make good decisions from flow anyway.
Mhm.
Just had this talk with my daughter in the car.
Oh,
Yeah. Mm. So anyway, that was really interesting to read this week and to try to turn off some of that stuff we listen to on the news, the
mhm.
worry about everything. We talked about that on the phone this morning about long-term care insurance. I
Yeah,
didn't even know that insurance existed.
that's so expensive.
It is, but we also talked about opposite some other kind of cultures that live a little bit differently. And I'm not saying it's better, uh,
Mhm.
but this culture is difficult in a way that people may not anticipate.
Mhm.
And so, like, for example, my husband did not, did not grow up here, and he is here now. And he's somebody that recognizes that difference big time, the hustle culture and how
Mhm.
it brings more stress.
Mhm.
Um, I watched on television something about the Sikhs in India, and
Mhm.
we have a Sikh temple right down the road, and I might have to go visit it now. But I really think it's
Or-
an awesome group.
Yeah.
Um, but they have figured out how to provide thousands of meals to people in their community, not just because they're good people, but because they're equal and they can do that together. It's not because these are poor people and we're rich people. They're just going to do that and take that off people's plates, their own plates too. They don't have to worry about this meal thing for thousands of people every day. And I think they don't have to worry about insurance. um, and that doesn't mean you have great health care.
Mhm.
And I've dealt with that some myself. So I know what that means whenever you have an abscess tooth and the pain that comes with it. But sometimes the chasing after the perfect teeth and the chasing after the healthcare, I don't know what's worse sometimes. I don't know. Those are big
Mhm.
questions. I don't know.
And then I'm trying to recall the Bible verse about the um, flowers in the field. Is that it? And the
Yeah,
birds
it
and
is. Yeah,
no,
the lilies of the field, they're clothed.
sorry.
Whatever. They're clothed with garments, that can, whatever. It's better than Solomon, right? And the birds that, whatever the birds, they don't work is pretty much the summary of that whole thing.
Be nice to remember that word
I
for
think
us.
about it a lot because I literally sit in my front yard and I've cultivated that front yard to be beautiful. So I can look at my birds, all the different birds that come to my yard, and think about that because they are not constrained by boundaries and land. They own no land and they do not stress about what's going to happen.
Mhm. That's
And the
good.
flowers, my beautiful tulips are popped up right now. I love them. They're gorgeous. They literally are clothed in something better than we could ever find. And they exist just for the fact of being gorgeous right now. That's it. For those little bees and stuff. And then they go.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's hard to find this balance. And I'm glad that Lao Tzu wrote this so that we might find some. So it's kind of like the opposite of hedonism. It says enjoy it, but with moderation.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So we got 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes.
Well, tell us your Bible verses that you found.
Oh, well, I mean, I said one of them, but I mean, the story of Martha, Mary, and
Mhm.
Luke. And we laugh about it because we know which one we identify normally, and it's, Martha. Because
Okay.
Martha's worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen the better. So when Martha and Mary had Jesus come visit the house, right? And Martha was like pretty much in my mind going, guys, I need you to help me cook. Come on,
Mhm.
we need help right now. Let's get this dishes, all this stuff, right? That'd totally be me, micromanage the thing because Jesus is there. And then pretty much Mary was not. She was just sitting there listening. Um, and Jesus, yeah, I know. I have a hard time even putting myself there because I still would be bad at Mary, probably. Like, Mary, come on, get up. Some help.
Help.
I'm the only one working. So anyway, but Mary at that time was able to pause and go, this is what's more important, not necessarily making sure everybody has forks
Mhm.
or something. And all the candles are lit in the bathrooms.
Kind of good to be able to look back at that and see it though now with that balance in mind, that there
Yeah,
is a balance.
yeah, the balance. And it was a choice. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that one way is better than the other. It's just you're going to feel better on one way than the other. And then
Mhm.
Psalm 119:37, verse 37 says, turn my eyes away from worthless things, preserve my life according to your word. I like that. Yeah, there's a lot. Or Matthew 6:22 and 23, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, I mean, you're unbalanced in this journey of hedonism, I can't think of a better word, your whole body will be full of darkness. So, yeah. Um,
Stress and worry is what I'm thinking of, the darkness, because it's not like then we're going to be evil and all that. It just means stress and worry.
you stress and worry, you're going to make your own misery for yourself. That's it. It's a here and now type salvation. Here and now.
Mhm.
So, chapter 13, what does yours say?
Let me see. Chapter 13. All things, all things as ourselves.
How in the world can these be so different sometimes
What
with
did
the
you put?
title? I mean, I get it. Say it again. All things.
All things as ourselves.
Okay. Mine says no self.
Okay.
This is the most dualistic comparison of books we ever have.
We're going to see it's going to be like the two sides of a quarter. It's
Yes.
still the same quarter, just
It's just so interesting that the translation is so dualistic. Okay. Well, we will get into that next time.
good. Thank you, Megan, daughter. I'm grateful that we're doing this. Thank you, anybody else who's finding any interest in it as well. And I
Yes.
appreciate
Yes.
it. So,
Well, that's it. We're going to do some other stuff and enjoy our weather while it is nice.
oh, it's beautiful up there.
And look
Okay.
at the birds. So this has been Sacred Soul Mornings. We are so thankful that people have been watching this, and I think it's just a wonderful journey to go on through this book. Um, remember that life is a journey, not a checklist. And so enjoy the ride. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you. See you all later. Bye.